All right, guys, I think we are live. If you guys could let me know if you could potentially see my chart. It looks like you should be looking at a chart of Cardano. I'll go ahead and switch that over to a Bitcoin chart. Just let me know if you can see the Bitcoin chart by chance. And if you guys can hear me okay. It's really nice to know that you guys can hear me okay and see things before we get going here. Basically, the structure for today's live stream is going to be we are going to talk our way through Bitcoin from the macro down to the lower time frames. Then we'll talk about Ethereum from the macro down to the lower time frames also. After we cover those things, we're going to move into your altcoin request. All right, so it's just me here doing this. I don't have anybody helping me. So if you guys need any charts and I miss them while we're doing the request, just let me know. Just put it in the chat and I'll revisit it if I missed it. And I do apologize, but let's get this party started. Where are you guys all from? It looks like we got quite a few altcoins already in here, so I don't want to lose them in my list. I believe your name is Nitten. Let me write this down. You want me to look at Cookie? And I try to always tell people, if possible, guys, can you place your charts in one at a time? That way everybody kind of gets a chance to get into a chart. Nitten, if you're still here, on Cookie and AITECH, if those aren't able to be found on TradingView, and it's something that I'll have to look up on a deck screener, if you could please let me know the contract addresses for those, or please let me know if we can find them on TradingView. Yo, what's up, Six? What's up, Delta? How are you guys today? Amazing. DMTR is the next one. All right. I haven't looked at that in quite a while. Is SHX a chart amazing, or is it something else? Oh, Delta's the number one today. The crown. The king. Somebody might take you out if they chat more than you in the chat, though. Remember that. You can get dethroned real quick. Then we got SUI for 611 so far. That's a good one. I sold all my SUI. I'm looking to get back in maybe later, but right now I'm not quite convinced. Thank you for letting me know everything's good with the stream, dude. It's really helpful. Yeah, I am too. I'm looking at those potential levels. All right, so the next thing, Delta asked me if I can pin messages. I have no clue. I'm so new to, oh yeah, it says I can pin message to the top of the channel. So yeah, it seems like I can. So we can pin this message to the top of the channel just so you guys can remember this. All right, and let's keep going. All right, so if you guys don't have any questions or anything, I'm going to move into Bitcoin. So far, we got 5 likes on the stream, guys. As always, it just helps others see kind of our work, what we're doing here, and gives an opportunity for others to be part of the party. So why not share the love? All right, the very first thing that I want to look at here on Bitcoin, we'll turn off our watch list just so we can see a little bit better, is the macro retracements. Okay, so let's just stick to some classic TA first. And let's see how Bitcoin reacted to the macro retracements, taken from a high to a low. We'll spread that all the way across. And you can see price action ran up to the most common area of interest, right? As an expansion of a correction or whatever it shall be to the upside. This 1.236 through 1.382 box is your most common area of interest towards the upside, right? Now, this can be good and bad, right? So you can see that we're starting to challenge that box, and there's a potential that it could break out of it, right? Because of why? In my opinion, it's because you've already received a 5-day closure above that box, right? Above that fib level, giving the opportunity that price action will likely try to make a move for the next fib level, right? And thank you for all the hearts and emojis, man. It helps the YouTube algorithm see everybody out there. So the next thing that I would like to talk to from just a classic standpoint here of analysis, would be a potential acceleration channel for the trend to the upside from the low of 2 to what we'll see could be the low of a potential wave 4 to the high of a potential wave 3. Now, again, this I do believe this leg up was an impulse, right? We did start to see the interactions here around the common retracement of 1.236 to 1.382. Now, if we label this, there's a couple ways to look at it. One is that it's not over yet, right? I would say that's my primary way that I'm looking at Bitcoin. And that's why we're all here, right? Because we want to know where the fuck this thing's going to go this cycle and what in the hell is going on, right? So the big argument right now is going to be, is that wave 5 not done, or is wave 5 done over here? And all of this so far is corrective price action, right? So again, in theory, we can delete this, and we're going to look at the same exact retracement from high to low here on your local price action if that were to be a wave 5, right? So if that were to be a wave 5 and somehow this was a wave A to the downside and you were somehow making a B to the upside, right? Well, that common retracement zone again is the 1.236 through 1.382. No sweat, Brian, dude. Thank you for the thumbs up. Please pop any charts in that you need us to look at, dude. And I'll still get them done for you, and I'll get them time-stamped. That way, if you have to run away and go do something, man, you could still come back later and get your chart request done. You know what I mean? Because I know we all got busy lives, right? I just appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate the thumbs up and even the chat to even request the chart, man. Thank you. All right, so we can see that Bitcoin has already got past that said 1.236 with closures, right? So this is our original 1.236 through 1.382 box on the larger time frame. If we were to look at that same applicable box or retracement zone here, you can see the 1.236 through 1.382 acted as resistance, then its center line acted as resistance, right? So we took out 50% of that box. Now, I do think that it fully sets up Bitcoin to explore the 1.382 to the 1.618. I personally don't think the cycle is over yet. The main reason why I argue with this being an expanded B wave, right? And the top of a cycle being in is because I could maybe get behind this being an A wave. But this B wave is the most direct thing I've ever seen, right? It has great displacement within it. It does not look that bad. The other thing, this would lead to what would be not a really bad bear market at all if you're tracking, right? So if this is an ABC and the market is over, right? So let's just be bears for a minute. Let's live in that world. Also, let's talk about invalidation really quickly while we're right here, guys. Sorry, I got squirrels in my brain. They're gonna makes it hard to stay on track. I like to bounce around. B wave hard invalidation on the expansion is the 1.618 retracement from high to low. If that B wave expands and hits that, we know that it's likely going to put on a bigger show. What's up, Daneska? So we need to watch that, right? We need to pay attention to that. You start breaking 138, and we'll see on another measure. It was around 140, I believe, in our last stream that we also talked about as kind of like a macro holy crap bull case could kick off, right? So we'll cover all those scenarios again really quickly. But anyhow, if this is to be an expanded B wave to the downside, an expanded flat A into a B into a C, the most common thing to see C do, that's funny, is pass the A wave lows and give an expansion, right? So that means minimum you're looking for the 1.382, but more than likely you're going to be looking for this 1.618, right? And sometimes these expansions can even get pretty gnarly, right? The other thing that we could look at from a time perspective would be from the low of the structure to the high of the possible 5-wave structure, well, this would put Bitcoin in a bear market until the 17th of November of 2025, right? Anything it did from here on out should be considered just its bear market. Well, we drew that nearly on the money. The other thing that we're going to notice is this would just really not be that substantial of a bear market, right? You would be coming just down to the 0.236 around 69K. So what I think would happen here is this could likely only be the first leg of your correction in an A or a W, and then you could make a B or X as a connector, right? And then you could carry on, right? So I'll show you really quickly how this could pan out, and I'll clean up the screen a little. So if you had an A wave down, you get a B wave up. Again, it's freaking people out. They think the cycle is going to continue onward, or it slightly expands past the highs, and then you get that scary C leg to the downside. Well, that would make a lot more sense, right? So this is something that we should be aware of that could play out in the cards. It wouldn't be too long in time in correction. And after what? After a cycle to the upside in 5 waves, excuse me, I have allergies. A lot of times you will get a 90% reduction in price. I'm so tired of hearing people say, that's not going to happen this cycle. This cycle's different. This cycle's different. Just go ahead and shut up and stop saying that, okay? Because every cycle, we're nearly getting these massive sell-offs, 80%, 90% of what you made up words in the cycle. So stop saying silly shit. If history even rhymes, we're still going to get a 70% reduction, right? That still puts Bitcoin down into those prices. So if you were to go into a bear market, you would go from 0 to A to B, and you would look for that same 1 through 1.382, but you're going to need to sweep the lows of A. So it would be likely to get that deep cut, right? So again, let's see what happens. Maybe this is a long lingering sideways correction instead. Maybe that could be the change that we see, right? Maybe you finally see some sort of difference where you only lose 50% in that cycle, or maybe even a wick down to give you a little bit more. But I do think after any sort of big move like that to the upside, guys, you have to be accounting for the possibility of a big cut after, okay? So let's talk about the bullish possibilities now. Let's delete everything. So if we believe this macro move to the upside potentially still isn't done, in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're still looking for 5, well, we have to talk about how we can do that, right? Also, there's nearly 14 of you guys here today. Thank you so much for coming by, everybody. We're still hovering at 7 likes. Let's see if we can get the stream up to 10 likes today. So from 0 to the macro 3 to the macro 4, typical wave 5 measure is going to be the 0.618 extension, right? But let's talk about something really quickly. If we talk about the measure of wave 1, from the low to the high of 1 to the low of 2, this is something we talk about in every live stream because I do think it's important. If this is a wave 2 low and this is a wave 3 high, your wave 3 never reached 1.618, making that wave 3 not extended per the Frost and Prechter kind of gang. Now, if it's going to be not extended, that gives you full potential for a wave 5 that would be extended, not expensive. I guess it would be expensive if you're buying the top. So if that's what's potentially happening here, and we're looking for extended 5th wave, well then why are we even worried about it stopping yet then, right? So probability says at least this is the minimum, if not an extended 5th wave that goes from 1 through 1.382, and they say, hey, sometimes you can get extended wave 3s that go to the 1.618. I'm not going to claim that. I really don't think we should even be talking about getting past the 1 line, to be honest. If you want to be like some macro bull in the Moon Boys, and all of this is just 1-2s to the moon, baby. If that's what's going to happen, we'll find out later, right? But for now, let's stay focused on the roadmap ahead, right? So let's go count this internal leg here to see how this could be stacking to the upside. Let's go to the daily. And let's talk about just this move to the upside here and what could be going on. We'll change the color of our counts here as we go. So we have 1 into 2 and a possible expanded flat. Big, long, nice wave 3 up. Wave 4 pullback with no overlap, meaning no overlap between 4 and 1. And then it goes off in the successive 5th wave. Now, this same count kind of leads us into, hey, this could be over also, right? We could be getting near there. So if we go from 0 to 3 to 4 with our extensions, you can see we're catching some resistance at the 0.618, which is usual, right? Could mean you running to a cycle top here. So that's something to be aware of. Now, if this is to be a wave 5 to the upside, it can only be built in a couple ways. One is a direct impulsive wave 5, meaning a clear wave 5 with a clear displacement in it. Everything looks good. But in this scenario, you can see, excuse me, this looks like more a 3-wave motion, and a 3-wave motion, and a 3-wave motion, and we're waiting on a 3-wave motion if it was not already over. Right, so that's my biggest fear. And we can talk about more bullish scenarios later, but for now, I kind of want to see how this macro pans out. So I think, if you were waiting for that last 3-wave motion, one of two things. Either the cycle's over there, or we're waiting for this one more push, right? We've been harping on 130K for a really long time. So a large part of me does have to kind of stay biased towards that. I'm not going to go into this fucking super cycle moon boy bullshit. I think that we have to stay realistic here. So if we end the wave 5 in an ending diagonal, again, either it ended here and the cycle is over, or we're going to get that one last push. I will say, with only one little push remaining in this certain scenario, I wouldn't plan for a massive altcoin season. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is, in a diagonal, we like to see what? We like to see contraction. We like to see it moving in on itself, pinching and tightening, showing you that a potential top is coming in soon, right? This little peaksy outside is okay. No big deal. Don't worry about that little guy. That's like in Super Troopers when the one sneaks out of his vest. All right, so we don't need to do the wave 1 here. Let's do the wave 3 measure first, because that's what's most critical. Right, we're waiting to see, does this last leg get that pinching, tightening? So if wave 3 is X length, right? That's what we just measured with our extension. And we were to clone that measure over, this is how we'll know if our count is wrong and if we're going completely bullish, right? So if Bitcoin touches that said 140 range, like we talked about earlier, the 138 range. What's up, Nameless? What's up, Dunk? Man, everybody's coming in here. We got the whole gang. Get me stoked. Hell yeah. All right, so if you hit that 138 to 140 range, that's where we start talking about the moon boy shit. Until 140, 138's hit, we're not talking about moon boy shit. For now, we're going to talk about finishing the wave 5 of 5 in a potential ending diagonal, right? Let's get our proper count here so you can see the difference. You're talking about a wave 5 of 5 here and the ending diagonal finally being over. It's not a bad thing, right? We reviewed a lot of stuff in our community in the Discord. Goat cheese egg roll. That sounds delicious. We reviewed a lot of stuff in our community about, where Bitcoin tops. And then while it's making its retracement up, there's still altcoins that still make new all-time highs. So that's pretty good, right? If you haven't covered these yet, don't name too many at one time. But if you could just put one chart at a time, friend, it'd be super helpful. So I'll make sure to write them down. So far we've done Bitcoin. Does anybody have any questions over Bitcoin? I do want you to also understand that there is a potential for you bottoming here, okay? I shared this in the Discord community early this morning. And there is a potential for this being a valid reversal. So my low time frame traders, the leverage people, you're going to need to key into that play in the Discord to know where your entry areas are for leverage and what we're looking at for those moves to the upside. But this could be a valid move in what could be 5 waves in our A wave, potentially being the first of the last leg of the 3-wave motion to the upside in the wave 5 of the wave 5 for the cycle for Bitcoin, right? And that could come in around 128,898 to 133,895. You throw a fucking handful of manipulation on that, and you never know what could happen. So that is something to be aware of, right, guys? All right. Does anybody, let me check the chat here, see if we got any questions over Bitcoin from anybody. All right, so I got SUI written down as my last altcoin. Just reviewing the list here. Nitin, thank you for saying that there on TradingView. It's super helpful, my friend. Damn, Delta, you're still holding on to the crown. You're still #1 in the chat somehow. How are you holding it up? All right. We covered that. What is up? EG in his house. Yeah, dude, the free trial for the community is stupid. Why not do it? And then, honestly, the value you get when we have numerous analysts. We have 5 technical analysts covering indices. We trade options. We trade metals. We trade fucking Forex, cryptocurrencies. And we're not just this one-shot wonder, right? We're not here to bullshit you. We don't just chart Bitcoin. We don't just chart Ethereum. We chart every single altcoin from the shitters to the top 10, right? So come check out the community, man. It's really worth it. It's a good time. And it's family, you know. It's not some bullshit where no one cares about you. Even when we're wrong, even when I'm wrong, I'll still be there to say, yo, I'm wrong, guys. Or, hey, I'm on vacation. Guess who's still in their community? I am. 24/7. Always making sure everybody's taken care of. Just like the rest of our technical analysts and our members. So, very supportive group. So, I'll quit rambling. My bad. All right. FARTBOY looks like the next one. Thank you for that one. Goat cheese egg roll. And METAFOX. That's not something I ever get to check. Is METAFOX going to be on a deck screener, or can I find it on TradingView, friend? Ed Alexander says, any good tokens that hasn't moved much that you feel has some good upside this cycle? Yes, for sure. I think AERO and son of a bitch, Link. I think there's a big list of them, right? So I tend to come here and just kind of do chart requests, but maybe we could save some time at the end, guys, where we could just do like a greatest hits. And I'll just run through some charts, you know. But if possible, guys, keep putting shit into the chart request. That way we have stuff to talk about. We've gone 30 minutes so far. I usually end up staying on about 2 hours. But if we run out of stuff to talk about, we shut her down at an hour. So let's talk about Ethereum really quickly. You could go about this chart one of 2 ways. I think if you look at it on linear, you could convince me that the potential wave 3 was done and you're waiting on a potential wave 4 here, and we're waiting for a potential wave 5 after. I do think that this is coming off of a macro pivot low, right? We've talked about this in numerous other streams, so we're not going to cover it too in depth right now just for time's sake. But this would be a WXY with an ABC flat in the Y. You can see 3 down, 3 up, and a potential 5 down in Y. So that gives us our ABC flat. I would say after such a long correction, I'll be amazed if that's all we get. Now, I will also say I'm super open to it, right? So this is like a conservative bull cycle for Ethereum here. That would take it somewhere between 5,800 to 63.9. So maybe even 6,400 if it's lucky. I would say that's your conservative, like it just never got super bullish kind of count, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Let's share our wave 4 targets here for Ethereum really quickly. If it is to start to make that wave 4 pullback, you would retrace from a 2 to the high of a potential 3, which can happen, right? It can pull just shy here, just past the 1.618. It doesn't have to move up to those successive targets, even though after you find closure past an extension, it is usually likely to move forward to the next extension, right? So if here for Ethereum, we're looking for a potential wave 4 in an ABC-like pattern. This could only be your first leg down, a B wave up, and then you wait for that successive C leg to the downside that gets to the 382. A lot of times what is most common is after a potential move, let's say to the upside, is that the prior degree wave 4 is often reinvestigated with support, but maybe this time it won't be. I will say that due to its wave 2 here, which we can see is not very long in time and not very deep, right? So maybe your wave 4 is something different this time, right? Maybe your wave 4, instead of being not long in time at all and not very deep at all, maybe it doubles in time and it does go a little bit deeper, right? That would give you alternation between a wave 4 and a wave 2. Scott Boyer, what's up, dude? FARTBOY Cruise in the house. Dude, you guys, thank you for the support. It means a ton. It really, really does. We also, I'm surprised not to see the Roar community in here today, man. Those guys, they're always like holding it down. The other community I ran into recently that's been holding it down is Bonk Boy. God, if we could get some of them dudes in here, right? Very loud community, very, very chatty, super fun to be around. And their chart could make a reversal. We were looking at that recently. So if Bonk Boy's going to make a reversal, that'd be really cool. But here for Ethereum, let's see what we get, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah, I knew it was you, Dunk. But if we're looking for that wave 4, that's an opportunity, right? Now, in a wave 4, we really don't like to see price action lose 34.54 at the 0.5 retracement. And if it were to drop lower and hit that golden pocket around 31.38, that's the cycle over for Ethereum, right? Like something fucked up. It was just an ABC to the upside. We're wrong, right? Something else is at hand. And we have to recount at that point in time. So, right, that would be hard invalidation. I'm okay with price action even coming down as low as prior degree wave 4, but losing prior degree wave 4 is bullshit. We shouldn't see that for Ethereum. And after that, we should get our successive moves to the upside in a wave 5. You can see how much higher that is when you're on your logarithmic targets. And at that point, guys, then we would be able to plot for a more accurate wave 5 target. We would go from the lows or 0 to the highs of 3 to the suspected lows. And you can see how that 0.618 or the typical wave 5 target aligns us with that 5,800 target box we talked about earlier, right? So that box was from 5,800 to 6,400. Dude, the chat is firing off. I'm like pissed off that I have to be here live stream while you guys get to kick it in the chats. Once we finish making the wave 4, the other really cool thing that we could talk about doing is getting that acceleration channel placed, right? So if we go from the low of a 2 to the low of a 4 to the high of a 3, great, now we have an acceleration channel. We get to also watch those resistances as this move up is made. All right, does anybody have any question? All right, well, let me finish one thing over Ethereum first. Sorry, guys. This will be the targets if Ethereum is to be more true on logarithmic, right? And this is a more, how can I say, moon boy shot of what I would expect for Ethereum, right? So the moon boys, the big dogs who are going to give you crazy targets are likely going to get their targets from this, right? They're going to say that Ethereum is coming for this wave 3 target. So if, right? I know it's a big if, but it is a possibility. If somehow, some way, Ethereum is going for these higher up moon boy targets, this could be 1-2, 1-2 stacking. Maybe even they sneaked another little shitty ass 1-2 in here. But we're looking for 3-4s to the upside. Now, if this is wave 3 minimum and a wave 4 minimum and a wave 5 minimum, you can see how the cycle for Ethereum could get even more extended, how it could tinker with 10K. Now, I would say if it goes ape shit, this is realistic. It can happen, right? Doesn't mean it has to, but it's very plausible. It's something that we could look into. And the other thing is, we'll look at our standard retracements that we talked about earlier, but this time you're going to see them on logarithmic. So it does change that area of interest. And you can see how that area of interest does change to accommodate for our wave 3, right? So if it were to just continue stepping up the stairs and powering up and displacing, that's how the Moon Boys get wave 3, 6,900 Ethereum, right? All right, does anybody have any questions over Ethereum at all? Start talking, Surf. He won't be able to resist a chat. I know, dude. I'll be in here all day just chatting. All right. So far, no one has any questions over Ethereum. Let me write down any other charts that has popped up. It's a party. Yeah, I'm missing the party, though. Yeah, I need to get it. I should be chatting on my phone is what I should be doing. Maybe easier. But then I get sidetracked. All right. So the next one that popped up for us here is ONDO. That's not one I don't think I cover all the time. You said high and low time frame, so we'll just do the whole chart. Whole history. All right, we got that written down, and then we got XRP, sure thing, my dude. We covered that Sunday in our stream in the community. You missed a good one. It was a really good one, but we'll just duplicate that and do that again today. How's that sound? Timeline for it to get to 10K. Good question. Thank you. It's really helpful when you guys have stuff like this. The other one someone's asking is HMND. Yeah, man. I got you. Amazing. All right. So the timeline. So timelines are something that's not a high probability thing, but let's fuck around. So if we talk about the timeline, and I got FARTBOY down for you guys already, my dude. It's on my list. So if we go from the low, which you don't have to go to the pinpoint. This is a linear measure. So from low to the high of 1 to the low of 2. Your wave 3 is typically done or topped around 1.618 in time. That means your wave 3 would top around 6,900 around the 2nd of October. So you could have a bullish October and November potentially. Okay, I got AERO written down, guys. We'll talk about the micro and macros. All right. Is that Jamie Bads from the Discord? There's too many names, dude. Yeah, dude. What's up, my guy? All right. So if that happens, right, and then we talk about a wave 4, right? So we're going to talk about what happens in a wave 2 and a wave 4. Well, they potentially, let me get rid of the other line so this doesn't mess with our time here. They potentially give you a 1-to-1 measure in time. So if your wave 2 is X amount of time and length, which I'll say is a very short wave 2, your wave 4 is typically about a 1-to-1 in time. That would mean your wave 4 falls out till about mid-October, after which you would get a nice pump to the upside. So what I want to do is say maybe it's 1 times in links, but maybe it's 2 times in links. Let me delete this just in case so I can see what I'm doing. Just in case they give it a little bit more of an extension, okay? So if they push her out till about the end of October even, I would be okay with that. So let's delete this. Let's call that a corrective zone for our wave 4, okay? If you were to make a wave 4 from there, that would give your Ethereum wave count a minimum touch of 5267, but a likely area of interest around 4,400. If that happened, It's the housewife from Essex. So, you're funny. If that does happen, we do get the deeper, longer in time wave 4. So be it. And then from there, you know, you could try to talk about your wave 5. The thing is, on this, wave 5 and wave 1 usually pan out around the same kind of thing, right? So if this is your wave 5, wave 1, they'll be both linger assy. They won't be very exciting, and they'll just kind of make a one-to-one target of each other normally. Now, if that's our wave 3 and that's our wave 4, we would go for a 0.618, which takes it even higher. So maybe you're going to get an extended 5th wave because of that. I would say, guessing, if I had to guess, this could go into the late 25 to the early 26 for that run up. But it shouldn't take awful long, right? Because the actual wave 3 should be over fairly quick. That means by that 1.618 at the beginning of October. Does that make sense, friend? And sorry for carrying on, guys. I can talk forever. If you ask the questions, I'll try to give the answers, or at least try to bullshit my way through them. All right, so it looks like we've covered Bitcoin and Ethereum. Sorry that took so long, but let's move into the requests. Man, drinking some peach tea today with bubbles in it. It's so delicious. So the very first chart that you guys want to look at is Cookie. This is not something I've ever looked at, but let's do it. Cookie DAO. So they also have it on Coinbase. I would say Coinbase has my favorite charts, but let's see what's up. So far, I would say, you know, if this is the oldest chart history there is, which it likely isn't, that was a really good run-up. Why would I would want to try to be part of that run-up. So let's check to see if there's an older chart for Cookie here. And then we'll go from there. So it's got previous price action, but it ends on bullish order flow. So it's like ICP in a way that all it ever did was a downtrend. So it got its reaction to its first area of interest. Let me make sure I'm on log, which is the 618 to the 702. After that, you look for your next area of interest, which is the 1.236 to the 1.382. If it can flip the bearish roadblock, which is the 786, right? So if we flip the 786 on Cookie, man, you're looking at for some like substantial gains, right? If from this area of interest as a spot consumer, that's a 700% gain. Now, let's go ahead, let's delete everything. Let's zoom in on a daily here and see. I would really like to see, do you get a valid 5-wave motion up here? Which to me, right, be hard to say didn't. And then we'll go from there. I mean, even here, right? Even here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within 3. It ain't beautiful, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to make it. So let's label it and then we'll do the math. So this is something we're seeing a lot of recently. When you put your extensions on from 0 to 1 to 2, you see a lot of resistances coming around the 1.382 that makes people sell out, and then it moves on afterwards and actually shows you, fuck, I was impulsive, right? So we get a nice push to the 2.236, which is beautiful. Move that extension up. Move the following extension up. Son of a bitch. And on this one, I'm going to go to this low and say that this correction was potentially a running flat because I can see a clear 5-wave motion after that. So because of that, I'm going to go to the end of the running flat. It doesn't really matter if you go there or there. It's an area of interest, but let's see how they interact. Let's get our 786. That's been a big thing this cycle. And you can see the 786 was kind of a roadblock, and we started to form bearish combination reversal patterns with our candlesticks, and we were looking for lower. Now, because this was an extended 5th wave, you didn't get your typical divergence of a bear divergence, which is what we're used to, right? Meaning that you would typically get wave 3 closures, wave 5 closures, and then you would typically see wave 3 closures the highest oscillation and wave 5 closures a lower oscillation on the RSI. You didn't get that this time. Wave 5s, when they're extended, also like to end on high volume. Bing, bing, bing. So in my opinion, let's stick with this being a wave 5. Let's stick with this being extension. Let's look for Cookie to make some good gains, yes? Or at least, in my opinion. I can't give financial advice, right? That would be illegal, because I'm just a dude in a bathrobe enjoying lattes with his friends on the internet talking about fake money. So, in my opinion, from just a classic technical analysis standpoint, if you were looking for an area of interest to be buying, I think the 618 to the 786 is beautiful. We also can note that you have a really small internal fair value gap here, right? It is not one to write home about, but it is here, right? So that's an area of interest of liquidity for the man to come for, or woman. Likely, as good as this machine's running, it's a woman running the whole show. But that would mean we could be looking for a potential A wave or wave 1 within those 5 waves, right? So if Cookie's making a potential move to the upside in 1, into a 2, into a 3, 4, 5, or an ABC. So one of these two things is likely the most probable play that's at hand right now. And we'll talk about the what's next from there. So corrections, if we go from low to high, as soon as this passes 2 in time, meaning correcting out past the 1st of September, it increases the likelihood of a B wave, right? Something to be aware of. Now, if this corrects before the 2 in time, it can keep the likelihood that it is a 2. Now, if this move to the upside gets a partner leg at some point, you're going to get around a 400-ish% move. We can lie to ourselves and say maybe the low's in here, but for now it just is that. It's a lie. I'm not going to go to the lower time frames and try to beat my head against the wall and make up shit to say why we could have a low in, because this is a high-risk setup here. So I would say estimation, if this is the low now, a C wave would go to the 1 through 1.382, meaning a price action from 0.66 to $1.25. If $1.25 were to be broken, you would be talking about Cookie going into an impulsive bull run setup, which is how it could supply much larger gains, which I'm guessing would be around a 10x maybe. Let's see. So if we go from a standard entry here as a wave 5, 3,578%. It makes me laugh because I think these kind of things are bullshit, but they can happen, right? Earlier this season, I made 1,400% on the wave 3 in Pepe. So this wave 3 could be the same thing. So be watching Cookie for a larger setup, right? But understand that until it breaks the 1 through 1.382, we really don't have a for sure thing, right? So let's be watching that. 2.236, 1.382, where are you? Let's just pop you in here. All right, and you're going to be watching these areas of interest, right, as an ABC or a 1 through 5 motion. But man, like multiple X on the table here, right? So could happen, but as a minimum, if all you got was your 1-to-1, it's a replication of the prior move, right? So around a 400% gain could be had. So that's really good, right? To get even up here is a really big achievement. So Cookie's one to be watching. Sorry for beating a dead horse. Does anybody have any questions over Cookie? Let's go to AITECH. If nobody has any questions, let's see if I can find it first. Son of a bitch. Which ticker is it, my friend? Or which one of these is it? Because we have quite a few charts here. Until I see from you in the chat which one it is that you want, whether that is on BitGet, maybe that's the one you're after. All right. So if it is, if the one on BitGet works for you, friend, I'm going to have to go with this being a three-wave motion up and an A wave, right? So because of this chop and then successive 5 to end it, I'm going to say that's an A, maybe a clear B, and we're looking for a strong reversal. Now, this has an easy invalidation point, which we can see already here. MEXC chart. All right, so AITECH USDT on MEXC. Thank you. Oh, look at this guy. We've already charted this. Fucking beautiful. So, see, this is where your failure point was, right? You got a wave 3, potentially, but you never broke out. You never got impulsive. You can see it even here on this chart. This is beautiful. Now I don't have to do as much. So this is A and B. And we're looking for a C, right? So you could be looking for a really knitting. Where are you getting all the charts, my dude? You're coming with the fire today. You got two good potential charts, my guy. Nice work. All right, so if we pull this from an inception low to a cycle high back then, we can see that we came to the 888, which makes probability that it is a B wave, right? As soon as we get that low of a retracement, it makes probability a B wave. Now, if the price action can show us strength and get back above the golden pocket at the same time as not losing this invalidation as a low, we could be talking about a really big move coming, right, guys? So that's easy invalidation. Now let's zoom in here, my friend, and this is where the magic might happen. We have to see a reversal. I'm guessing, are you from the UK, Nitin? So to me, you can see what here? Lots of displacement, a little huckle chuck in the middle, big move. This could potentially be a reversal. And this, a three-wave correction, right? So it could be that you're making a really strong reversal here. Now, this wouldn't be something I would want to fuck with on leverage. This would be something that I would be more apt to say, hey, if I make a reversal here, I'm looking to just buy spot, right? Because my initial move was something of 300%. I'm looking for that leg to get a partner leg of around 300% minimum. Does that make sense? So this is why little moves and little purchases can become really big here at the end of the cycle. Oh, nice. India, brother. Nice to meet you. So if this is to move up and we are to go for studied in Australia, picked up the mate. Nice. Did you eat you some Vegemite while you were there? Vegemite. So if this potentially is going to move up in that leg, right? And worst case scenario, worst case, bearish case for this. This is a B. Maybe even this is still going on in a correction that's not over yet, which is also likely. And then you make a C. But at some point, dude, this leg should give you a partner leg. Now, the only issue I'm going to have is, number one, we're already past the minimum in time, or at least it appears so to my eyes, right? We're way out here. We're past the 382, which is your minimum in time. We're past the 2 in time. Because of that, I would say it's highly likely that this is a B wave, right? And the reason I have to go with that is because so far, there's no 5-wave reversal here. No Vegemite for me. That's funny. We got quite a bit of Australians in our Discord, man, and they're always talking about the best seafood, dude. And it makes me want to travel to Australia so bad because I'm huge on seafood, man. I would love to go there and eat it. Trying to figure out a way to make it bullish on the local, but I'm really struggling. So this is a nice 3-wave move, right? But from there, we really don't get an impulsive reversal, right? Meaning we don't get 5 waves up and 3 waves back, and 5 waves up and 3 waves back. Instead, we get 3 waves down that takes this low. We're so early on that I don't want to talk about diagonals and waste your time here. Do be open to this making another low down in here somewhere. So, you know, it's kind of like one of those things where you just haven't seen it bottom yet. It could potentially sit through another 20, 30% cut. But I do think overall at some point, this initial move is going to get that potential partner leg. And that's a 300% gain minimum. Now, when we were looking at our larger time frames, right, this is where your mind will kind of get blown, in my opinion. So this is where I think the magic is going to happen for this coin. If this is an A into a B and it's working on a C wave in 5 waves, or a C wave in an ending diagonal even, which is a possibility here, right? So that's the 2 waves that things could end, which would be 3 waves up in 1, and then you would get a successive 3 waves down in 2, which would be deep and scary usually. And then you would get a successive 3 waves up in 3, which is usually around the same size as 1, if not slightly smaller. Then 3 waves down in 4 that could yield overlap into the top of 1 as the most common. Then 3 waves up in 5 that would be smaller than your original 3 waves up in the 3rd wave, right? Kind of like how we looked at Bitcoin earlier on in the stream. So if that is to be, it's still bullish, right? But the biggest thing to stay focused on is it would be a spot bag that you could potentially be holding on to for a little bit, right? This could take quite some time to climb up these stairs to the most common area of interest for this, which is going to be the 1 through 1.382, sir. All right, so that is it. All right, let's move on. All right, my dude, TP Hand, nice to see you again. How are you? You want to talk about Simon the Gator. Is ye old Simon the Gator on a DEX screener? If ever you guys have a chart request that's on a DEX screener, if you could please supply me the contract address so that I know what I'm looking up, okay? That way I can give you a more accurate reading. Because a lot of those DEX coins are really hard to find, especially when they're just low cap stuff, right? So if you could help me out, if you could give me a contract address for Simon, if not and it's on TradingView, let me know. But I'll keep moving on, guys. Sorry the stream is so long today. We have a lot of coins to look at. So let's look at DMTR on KuCoin first. All right. So this is something that we talked about in the community quite some time ago. And it is a struggle for me, but let's delete everything. This isn't my favorite chart. But I guess it doesn't matter if it's my favorite or not. So if you're wanting to be a bull here, let me fix this. You're going to have to admit that this potential correction to the downside then made a corrective 3-wave move to the upside, right? So if this is possible, and this is just a 3-wave motion to the upside, you know, I wanted to say early on this was an A, B, C, but this will be one horrible ass C in a 3-wave motion, right? So what we would have to admit is somehow, some way, this is the world's most hideous WXY in a 333. Now, I don't like this chart because you're being hopeful that this 5-wave motion in an A is done. This is kind of over here in a B, right? And you're waiting for what would be at some point a potential partner leg. Now, I don't think that potential partner leg will likely give a new high. I would love to say it does. If it does, it would go from 0.37 to $1.43. Because you're on a 5-day chart, a lot of times it is a lot smarter to be on linear, just so that you're keeping your targets kind of realistic. The chart is going to be a lot uglier, but it will make your extension targets more realistic. And that's why I was saying, let's be open to, let me get this C, the C's up here in outer space right now. Let's be open to that C wave that does give a partner leg on DMTR, but it never makes a new high. In that scenario, I would only see it going to 0.106 to 0.14, which is still a great kind of reversal on something that's on its fucking face, right? So I would say overall it has a bad chart. It wouldn't be something I'm chasing. It's not going to be something I'm buying. But maybe it makes a reversal and helps people out. That's my opinion on DMTR. Dude, thank you guys. We got 14 likes today. That's massive. Thank you so much. Tell your friends, come on by, man. Let's chat some more coins. Let's keep the party going. Let's get hyped. All right, so the next one I got on my list here is SUI. Let's cover it, see what we got here, and move forward. Let's make sure we have our oldest chart before we start. And I don't think I've ever completely looked at SUI here on a stream all out like this. So let's see what we got. All right. So I don't like to do a whole lot with what would be the inception move, right? From there, I would rather work. This is not something that's going to give us a whole lot of clarity, right? And again, when we measure this kind of move, what do we see? A three-wave motion to the upside that never got impulsive, right? It even ends in what would be somewhat of a hideous five-wave motion, right? Even has the chopping, overlapping, wedging pattern at the top before the drop. If that is so, right, if that is to be three waves to the upside, it needs a correction, right? And that correction likely needs to come in around after a 382 in time. Right? So if that's going to happen, that means that everything that's going on here is likely corrective. Right? So at some point, I don't own any SUI and I'm cool with being wrong. If it is to make a reversal, we'll talk about that later in the stream also. But for now, you could potentially be running into a situation where you're waiting for this partner leg down into the internal fair value gap left behind, and maybe a retest of the 0.618, right? So if you were to look at this from a mathematical standpoint, not just my opinion, that's how you get down to the 1 through 1.382, which is very confluent with the internal fair value gap left behind in price action here from when it broke out, right? So that's kind of for me where I'm thinking about like, hey, maybe I get some SUI back. But at these prices, I'm not super interested. My wife delivered me the best omelet, so I'm going to eat some bites here while I mess around on the chart. Now, if you're wanting to be a bull here, and you're saying, hey, you know, you're wrong, Surf. This thing's going to the moon, right? All right, well, let's talk about that scenario. Let's stay focused on the daily. We have nowhere else to go then. If you want to be a bull, this motion off the lows does produce what? Good displacement. It breaks the corrective trend-based fib extensions. It makes a common impulse to the 1.618 minimum. Then it makes a shallow correction and finishes with what? A successive potential five-wave motion. That five-wave motion pulls shallow to a 382 beautifully. At that point, you see what? Regular bear div. You see a volume drop from 3 into 5, which is beautiful. All this is amazing. It's beautiful. So next, what we want to do then is say, okay, did we get our minimum time in correction? To my blind eye, yes, by far, right? Way past the 382, way over here, exceeds all the depths, everything you needed, right? So if you're wanting to be a bull, you could be a bull in one of two ways. You could say that this is then going to provide an expanded B wave to the upside in, what would be our larger corrective scenario, where you get expanded B that goes to 1.236 to 1.382 as your most common expanded B form, right? So you're battling the 786. If you could imagine that 786 is like a sheet of ice above your head and you and all your friends are standing under it with daggers, just poking at it, eventually the ice is going to break, right? When that 786 breaks, the 1.236 through 1.382 is the most common area of interest. So even here in a local, what could be bearish scenario, it's still bullish, right? There's still $7 SUI. I just am not owning it because the local price action made me a little weary. But I'm not going to cover that and waste everybody's time here on the stream. We can talk about that more another time. All right, so that's SUI. Hopefully, FARTBOY people, are you still here, my gang? The FARTBOY gang, still around? We talked about the macro on FARTBOY in our last stream. Absolutely nothing had changed since then on FARTBOY. So we're going to remain not looking at the macro. If you want to review that, it's going to be in our prior video. For now, let's stay focused on the roadmap here of what we can see locally on FARTBOY. Nothing off of this low gave you an impulse. It was a standard three-wave motion, stops at 1 through 1.382, and then reverses. The other thing that you're going to notice is what? It ends on high volume. When a three-wave motion ends on high volume, it confirms to you that it was a corrective motion, likely a C ending on high volume. Now, if you're wanting to be a bull and you were wanting to say, hey man, that was a wave 3, then it shouldn't have ever given overlap into the top of wave 1. And it should have hit the 1.618, which is something I referenced in the FARTBOY community and on the streams numerous times. I said if it doesn't hit that and falls back in the base channel and overlaps, you're likely to put in a new low. For FARTBOY, that support comes in at 1.236 to 1.382. That is not 0.013 to not 0.1093. For now, that's what we're watching for on FARTBOY. Until something changes, guys, that's the road I'm on. All right, let's go take a peek at this METAFOX. I don't know which chart you want, my dude. I don't know what chart you would like, my friend. Do you know where to chart METAFOX? I'm sure this is not the chart you want. Let me know in the chats. Until I hear from you on which chart you want, I will just hold off because I won't waste our time. But just let me know in the chat which METAFOX chart it is that you want. We'll go back in time and look at that. Then we have ONDO as our next chart. Let me check something on Bitcoin because I was watching. I was trying to get me along here. We're not there yet. That's okay. All right, sorry, I just gotta check a couple things. I have some trades running today, so I don't want to miss out on them. I have a feeling I'm gonna get paid. All right, let me go back to ONDO and then we'll keep going. Sorry, guys. It's hard when your brain is doing 900 things at once. This is a nice move here, at least on the downside. You have a nice move with separation. Could be a local 4. We'll find out soon on the macro what we have. They tried to shit and get up the stairs. That was the last time we had much interest in it. All right, we're still on log. Everything's okay. Now, very curious. Let's turn off volume. Volume isn't really supporting anything so far. I really liked what volume was doing back here. You had a nice growth curve on your volume coming up. I think the weekly is why most people are interested in ONDO. Let's get a better chart here. Well, that didn't fucking fix anything, did it? All right, this looks like as good as it gets. So if by the skin of its teeth, ONDO did make an impulsive motion to the upside, you can see this correction came down in 3 waves, and then 3 up, 3 down, and a potential 5 up, right? So let's talk about what could be going on here. Alan, what's up, dude? We just did FARTBOY, guy. And everybody, that snoring sound in the background is not one of my kids. That's Beatrice. She's nasty. She's an English bulldog. She loves sleep. She's hideous, but I love her so much. All right, so let's look at this from this standpoint of an expansion. Did we break it or did we hit it? So ONDO comes right to where, guys? 1.236 to 1.382. So I'm going to leave that an expanded B wave. Let's look at the extensions to the downside. So from high to low of a 3-wave move, to the high of the 3-wave move, to the low here. Now, what would have happened in this correction that is super rare but can happen? Sorry, I'm talking to you guys like we're in a Discord live stream, like you're going to reply. This would be a running flat, right? This would be the most rare style of flat that you could potentially see. So maybe, right? Maybe, but we're going to need to see some low time frame reversals. Now, I'm sure I have a bunch of little funny ha-has in here who've studied, but does anybody see what you could potentially have here? Right? If ONDO breaks the gateway drug, you're just here for the vibe, man. Thank you, Alan. And thank you guys for smashing up the like button, dude. We got 14 likes today. It's been a big stream. It's always cool to look over and know you have, 10, 20 friends here supporting you. It feels amazing. But on with the show. So if potentially, right, this is an A to the upside, right? Super long correction, so likely a B. ONDO would then be looking for a partner leg. Because of like what we've seen numerous times already, I really like to do my big extensions here on linear just to keep us realistic. So if that was the first leg on ONDO, and now you're looking for the successive leg, there is that chance it doesn't break even the highs of the old expansion, but it could and run up to around 227. But I would say, it's like until we're getting valid reversals, meaning we're seeing something on like a 4-hour daily, something that really gives us convincement, that's a good new word, convinces us, then I would be hard pressed to want to buy. Right? Even now you're having to say like, okay, well that 3-wave motion is the low of something. And let me get my counters out here. This would be a very bullish scenario would be my best guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. And then you're saying, you have an ABC. You're saying that you're making some sort of 1-2 stacking here as a reversal, which could be, right? I'm not trying to dog anybody on this. I'm saying this could be a valid play. It just is high risk. Know that. So if you're a holder of this already, great. You're already in a good fucking position. If you're not a holder of this, maybe you're making your first DCA buy, but you need to understand this is invalidation at 0.844, right? So if we want to be bulls on this play and we're looking for 1-2 stacking, this is kind of like AERO would be. But I would say a little earlier on. So we don't have overlap between 4 and 1. Let's check the math here. I would say your wave 3 doesn't look very displaced, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Wave 3 comes up to 1.236, so it's at least not the shortest wave, which is important in Elliott Wave. And then let's see how your wave 5 pans out eventually when my computer catches up with me. We go from 0 to 3 to 4. Wave 5 comes right to the 0.618 on the money, guys. Who the fuck brought ONDO Finance? Let's see who did this, you little smart ass. Daneska, way to go. Good chart. You and Nitten get the damn gold stars of the day. You guys brought good charts. You're going to make me buy stupid shit is what's going to happen. All right, so if this is 1-2 stacking, let's try to be bulls here. Your low is or isn't in before 0.382. Motherfucker, dude. It's right on it, isn't it? It was in after the 0.382. So that's money, dude. You could call... I never like when you hear all the like fighter jet noise outside your house. So in my opinion, if we are to form a reversal here, how could this potentially become really bullish, right, guys? How could ONDO make a really, really bullish reversal? We could be looking at this as a first 1-2, looking for a minimum target, right? Because of our larger counts, we're going to look for what? We're going to look for it to actually get impulsive, right? Let's not bullshit ourselves. We're still on the daily. These targets are still fully acceptable. So in this realm, in the 1-2 stacking, you would say this is wave 1. We'll change these to gold so you can see them better. 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll change these to a bigger count. Remember, guys, this is super fucking risky. Crypto is super risky. Just because I chart this doesn't mean you go buy it and be a dumbass. Yes? You have to manage your money like it's a business or the shit won't exist. Treat it good. Treat it with respect. Follow sorry, I'm like my mouth's watering trying to eat this omelet. Follow your validation, invalidation, and move forward from there. The next thing we can do is a base channel. And that base channel goes from low to high. After it was applied, you can see we getting respect at the lows and somewhat a three-wave motion after 5 to the upside. So if this is to be, your risk is here, right? Your risk to reward as a spot holder here. Let's say it gives one more low. I'm not telling you to buy right now. Your risk is a 10% downside on spot, right? For an upside, which we'll measure here as an internal count. So if your internal count, excuse me, I'll fix that first click, is the green count, I personally would be looking to kind of like offset some of that position when I ran into that wave 3 count around $1.47. Now, I would also be fully open to the idea that its 5 waves get quite extended here in the wave 3. Since it's spot, I wouldn't try to manage it super heavy, right? At least in my past, and even the other day I shared it in the Discord, you know, I was like sharing kind of like I was selling out of Edge Crypto, right? And I'll show you that later in the stream. But I was selling out under the premise that it was an ABC to the upside. Well, I managed that position so hardcore that I actually sold out and missed out on about 80% gains, right? Which is okay. That stuff happens. We're not going to get them all. But in a scenario like this, this is why I think you got to be cautious. If this is 1-2, 1-2 stacking, and you're looking for much higher macro targets, don't DCA out here, right? Let this thing run up. Let's look for these, what would be 2s to give their partner 4s down here. And by that, I mean, I'll draw it out so we have this. But if we had a potential 1 into 2 and 1 into 2, this is like Solana early on, right, guys? Then I'll be looking for price action that goes pretty fucking vertical into a 3 into a 4, into a 3 into a 4, and then a final 5th. Right? If I get that kind of pattern, that's no different than what Solana gave you early in this cycle, right? And we'll go look at that really quickly just for reference. You can see we've been studying in the Discord. But if you got the same, this is the same theory again. You're 1-2 stacking needs to play out into 3-4 stacking, right? And then a final fifth. ONDO is kind of setting you up for the same play, right? So same 1-2 stacking. So something to really look out for. ONDO could be a big mover going forward. Those gains would be around 300% probably. That's without any of the waves getting extended. So, all right, 15 likes. Yes, dude. Thank you, man. I don't know if I've ever made 20 likes on a stream, like during a stream. I think I've always got, you know, the higher likes after the stream's off and people kind of revisit it. But it's cool seeing it get so high right now. All right, so we'll move on. We got ONDO done. Let's look at XRP. Are you still here? My main man, where did you go? Are you here, Dunk? If not, Dunk will catch it later. He's always studying. He's always looking this shit up. He always asks good questions, you know? All right, so let's look at AERO, or XRP. We're not to AERO yet, but my mind wants to look at it. All right, so we talked about this in the Discord the other day. We talked about what we could see going on here, right? My oldest XRP chart, I think, is your most important place to look for kind of why we think this could be going on. So let's look there. All right. Oh, Happy! What's up? Don't leave, man. You're not going to try to get your crown back. So you can see here, XRP was consolidating in a very long, tightening, constricting pattern in a triangle until we get to the apex here. And we can see that it potentially is moving to the upside in a 5-wave motion, right? If that's to be, man, XRP's already did what then? It gave what? It gave its displacing leg. It's already done its big move, right? I know that sounds bad. I know this is not what the bulls want to fucking hear. But there is a chance XRP's biggest move is behind it. And any move from here on out is not, like, it's not going to be huge. It's just going to be peanuts, probably. So, hangry girlfriend, I really need to go. Just make sure to say CRB is bullish. Yeah, we'll send all of our good vibes your way. On your CRV trade for sure. Nothing's changed since I talked to you about it yesterday in the Discord though. All right, so if we're looking for XRP to move to the upside and we pull extensions from 0 to 3 to 4, that gave us our first roadblock around 374. You can see we've caught a little bit of resistance there. Our ultimate target was $6.26, which we haven't reached yet. Now, I don't want to be the person that is telling you, let me get a handy dandy box here, that this wave 2, it's about the size. And this wave 4, I like them as partner legs right now because of the time that it takes, because of the size of the correction. But if you want to bullshit yourself and say all of this is still the correction, you're going to have to get fucked. That makes no sense, right? Like, we're getting much, much larger. Though it's not a hard rule, I would say we would like to see this done by 2 times in length, right? We're already past 2 times in length. I think it's likely that your wave 4 was back here. It's likely the wave 4 is in, and we shouldn't be getting any more deep cuts for XRP. If you do, we're not going for the wave 5 target. It's fucking over. We got 17 likes, man. We're almost to 20. All right. Oh, I'm stoked. So if this is to keep going, we're looking for that next push in XRP. But I would say the issue here, and something that I want to be open to because XRP and numerous coins have done this before, is they've made corrections where the low is in here, right? We saw this on Chainlink. So in my opinion, I'm concerned, could this be 1 and then we get 2, maybe we get a little bit deeper here, and then a final 3, 4, and 5 that really gets the people going, and it exceeds our target slightly. That could be something that I could really be open to, just because of the way the local counts look. So let's go back to this chart that I don't care about destroying. And let's go to the daily. And because I think it's important, this part is not impulsive, right? This is not an impulsive nature to the upside. Best case scenario, yeah, dude, I hope it's helpful, Dunk. Tell everybody, man. We'll hit any chart you want. Bring them by. The problem here is that this is a real three-wave motion to me, right? And then again, a nasty three-wave motion. Now, I want to be really open to this being a 5-wave motion to the upside. So if I measure its corrective minimum, we're way past that with a nice 3-wave motion. This could be the low, right? If it is, great. Then we could talk about price action moving to the upside from here. Now, the main issue is going to be what? This 3-wave start. There's only a couple things that start with 3 waves. One is a correction and one is a diagonal, right? So if this was 5 waves in what would be a wave 1, and this is somehow wave 2, which it could likely not be, you need a wave 3. A wave 3 wouldn't start in a 3-wave motion, right? It would look like absolute trash. It wouldn't start in a 3-wave motion. It's not how it would go. So my major concern is, do you get another correction to the downside here, and then you finally start making those bigger moves to the upside? That would be like the bearish case for XRP. The bullish case is that I'm wrong, that this is somehow the low, and somehow this is the top of wave 1, even though it was super choppy, and you're looking at a 1-2. Now, again, you're going to see really quickly why I don't like this. If this is a measure from 0 to 1 to 2, your wave 3 has not hit its minimum target yet, and it's made a macro kind of size correction here, right? It's made a correction there that's bigger in time almost than the 2, right? You're getting near the same time of correction. Now, maybe this could be a pullback in the local wave 4 within wave 3, but I doubt it, right? But let's say for the bulls, their hope is that they really want to see wave 3 come up and hit. They want to see a wave 4 pull back and then a wave 5. Now, that's hopeful, right? Even then, it's like the bulls for XRP, you're just hanging on for this, another 100% gain. We'll talk about other coins later in the stream that have much bigger gains than this, right? And they've done nothing yet, right? So these are ones that we could easily get more gains on. Now, the other thing that I would like to be open to here, let's look at. I don't typically go this deep on a stream, but why not? If that's wave 3, which in the new diagonal rules, wave 3 in the new diagonal rules can be bigger than the wave 1. Wave 4 doesn't have to overlap in the new rules, so this could still be a wave 4. And then you could look for a wave 5. But invalidation for that and the common area of interest we'll look at right now. The wave 5 shouldn't get bigger than the wave 3, just like we looked at on our Bitcoin idea earlier. And this is how maybe XRP and Bitcoin top around the same time. Would be some sort of very hideous diagonal idea in the 5 where you didn't get overlap. That's something to be very open to. The other thing that I guess you could be really open to would be, it's a wave 5 that's super weak after an extended wave 3. So maybe it's just not so strong, so it doesn't get displacement in its 3. Because so far you have no rule breaks, right? You have no overlap between 4 and 1. Wave 3 is not the shortest. You could potentially get 5 waves up here in a 5 that could take XRP to $4.08 to $4.55. Now, for the bulls, if you break $5.24 or even hit it for XRP, you should fully count on XRP going to that 660 plus range that we talked about earlier in the stream, okay? And that's something we'll cover later. Thank you guys for all the likes, man. All right, let's move on. Next chart was HMND. And if you guys have any chart requests, do get them in. Let me know as much as you can about your chart so that I can try to give you back my best opinion. At the end of the stream, I'll revisit any questions or charts that you guys might have, and we'll go from there. Holy fucking ugly chart. Is this it? Thank you for having more, KuCoin. You're always there for us. All right, so stick with what we had there with our A, right? We have a great move here. Though this is ugly as shit, you have a great move here. Now, I would also be open to this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we'll look at the math of that. The biggest thing I like here is just some classical analysis of a retrace fib from high to low. You can see that it came to where? 786. What do we talk about, guys? That's that like fucking bear line in the road, that 786 probability shift point. You can't get past it, boom. Bear's got the wheel, baby, right? You break that sheet of ice, if you come up and start stabbing it again, the sheet of ice might break. But what I would say is not every coin goes to a bull run. Not every coin is going to be successful this year, right? All right, let's do a little bit of math here. Nice. That does change things. That does change things. All right, so now you could say that was the impulsive 3 leg. Let's check this as a 4. We'll look for our typical 0.618. Sometimes we get a little bit long in the tooth, but bammy, right on. All right, so next thing we need to do is check for divergences between 3 and 5 on volume and RSI. So we got the RSI divergence. We got the volume divergence. We had the largest volume in the wave 3 of 3. That's beautiful. So everything's pretty much panning out for HMND so far. Now, what I would say is, what? I'm not going to give this secret away on YouTube. Never mind. I'll tell you this instead. So in the Discord, if anybody wants HMND, a little secret on it, let me know, and I will share it with you in there. But for now, due to the retracement depth here making the 888, let's watch to see, does price action defeat the 618 when it comes up, or does it fall victim and put in a new low? Because the most common thing here with how long and drawn out this correction is that it could easily be an expanded B, right? This is highly likely to be a B wave in nature, right? Because it's already came down to that 90% level. So everything it does from here on out could likely be corrective, taking it down to the 1.236 to 1.382. So it's not something I would want to buy. Instead, I would rather wait for a 5-wave motion to the upside off of a low. And then I would want to buy that successive pullback, right? I know it's not going to be as easy as this, but it will be a very trackable event, right? You'll look to fill the internal fair value gap left behind between the breakout in the wave 3 and the back test in the 4. You'll likely be able to use your extensions here, like I've shown you numerous times in the stream, and your retracement fib from low to high to give you a confluent area of interest after a minimum in time of correction, and you could look for your upside. Because I do think this fucking hideous leg right here at some point of 3,300%, it could really get, could get a partner leg, right? So it's something to be aware of, but until you get reversals on HMND, that's a mouthful, HMND, humanoid. Until you get a reversal on it, sir, nameless, you want MetaFox? You got to tell me where to get it. What's the ticker? What's the exchange you want me to chart it on? Is it a deck screen? Is it a trading view chart? Because we looked on trading view, my dude. and I couldn't find it nameless, so thank you if you're able to find it. It would mean a lot. The next thing we have is XDB for amazing. We did FARTBOY John Vega earlier on in the stream. I will revisit FARTBOY if you would like again at the end of the stream. Just smash up that like button. Let's get some more people in here. Let's keep the party going, and I could probably chat for a little bit longer. We've been going for an hour and a half so far. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've done about 11 charts. So we're a little shy of our normal 20. So if you guys have charts, just get them in. The next things I see on my list are gold. Sure thing. I haven't looked at in a while. I own physical gold, and I've been buying physical silver, even though everybody tells me I'm stupid. We'll see what happens. If I'm wrong, so be it. I end up owning a bunch of funny-ass, funky metals up high. But it is what it is. And the DXY, yeah, man, that's something we look at in the Discord community often. You know, your cryptocurrencies are quite inversely correlated to the DXY. So if DXY is going down, we look for that Bitcoin to go up. Any of my AERO fam still here? Spent as soon as I saw HMND, I want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. I just hate that chart, dude. You used to ask me about that chart so much. All the time. All right. For my AERO people, everybody in the Discord already knows this, but for you here, this was our first area of interest that we bought AERO on. For all my holders in the Discord, we are still up 169% on those purchases. We have shared every targets you could have hit on AERO so far. We've been trading it on leverage in the Discord. People have been doing amazing cleaning up. I'm sure some of the people in the chat even have fell victim to the gains on this one. But this is a good chart. So let's chart the macro first. We talk about this every stream. That is not even in play yet, right? To do my macro targets on this, CoinGecko, bro. Let me write that down. Let me draw it over here. METAFOX. Does it have a contract address then? Because if it's trading somewhere and I can look on the deck screener with a contract address, that'd be cool. But if not, it's not going to be much help. You know what, guys? I covered the macro in the last stream. I don't want to waste everybody's time with that shit. If you want to review the macro plans, it's in the other video. Or come into the Discord and we have it posted everywhere. But this is going to be your lower time frame, daily and below count. Okay, so let's add to this the 1.618 and the 2.236 and the 2.618. All right. Now, if this is going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 stacking, this is our innermost 1, 2 so far, and we can see that it comes to a minimum wave 3 target, right? If that's going to be its minimum wave 3 target, that would mean that AERO is soon to bring you what? An opportunity, right? So it's likely you're looking for a wave 4 pullback before a wave 5 successive move, right? And then again, we'll change the counts here so that they don't all start to blur into each other. Change this guy. There it is. And when you're looking for this stacking, you're looking for this to get smaller nested 1, 2s as it went up, which it did amazingly. You can even see it kind of cone wedges in on itself, right? Also, another thing, this price action that's come to the upside has come to the upside so high that it has invalidated a potential B wave swing here or a possible expansion in a correction, which is amazing for us as holders because that validates why we're here. So, worst case scenario, you're looking for a wave 4. It could come down to $1.11 to $1.02 in the bloodiest scenario, right? But what do we not want? Invalidation of wave 1 with wave 4, right? Top of wave 1 with the lows of a wave 4. The other thing to keep in mind, what do we typically see between a wave 2 and a wave 4? We see structural alternation. I'm betting, due to this being a possible prior degree wave 4 within the wave 3, you might reinvestigate that price action, right? But this wave 2 is deep, steep, and scary. It's likely the wave 4 will be sideways and shallow. It will be an idiot box, right? It will just range liquidity. There's a chance it don't even lose the 0.236. METAFOX is also on DEX Screener Foxweth. I'll try to look it up and you guys can guide me through it. And we'll see what we can do. But anyhow, so if this is going to make a wave 4 here, and then you get a successive wave 5 that comes up, this coin has a long roadmap ahead of it, right? Because this is your golden or next larger degree. You can see how its minimum wave 3 is $2.10. So all my holders, you're looking for $2.10, right? And then $3.27, right? And this is like the fucking bare minimum roadmap for this coin, right? Which, do you feel like it's going to be bare minimum? I don't. I feel like it's going to be expanded and extended and fucking beautiful, right? So I do think that this will get another decent leg to the upside that will likely expand upon these targets. I do think this could be the coin of the season that a lot of people are feeling shitty about themselves that they didn't get into. I think it has a long roadmap ahead of it. So even from here, which nobody would tell you to buy right now, you're at a top. But even people buying here looking for that wave 3, that's 140%, right? We're not even talking about a wave 5 target, right? This wave 5 could even get up to $7 if we're lucky. And that's why we shared this early on, right? We shared this early on. This is where we were buying. Our purchases are still up 169%, even while everything else is shitting down its thighs, right? So come get in the Discord community, be in the know. Don't miss out on this kind of shit anymore. Don't fall in love with cryptocurrencies. Make money off of them and move the fuck on. Yeah? So if this is our minimum, right? So our minimum wave 3 for the macro yellow is here, but we already know that's going to be extended. So then it's likely, boom, your 5's extended. I think you could get a $7.40 AERO. Maybe, right? I'm not one to tell you for sure, but maybe. All right, so let's move on. We beat that one to death. Simon is the next chart for you guys. Simon Property Group. That must be what you want. I don't see a Simon here for a USDT chart at all, my friend. So if you can tell me where you want me to chart it at, that would be helpful. But for now, I'm guessing you're meaning this, like Simon the cat, maybe? Fuck. It's like someone ran up in a park and just kicked you in the nuts in the dark. You didn't even see it coming. All right, so what this looks like shit, right? You have a 3-wave motion up, a 3-wave motion down, a 5-wave motion up. I wonder if it ends on high volume. Maybe. What I would say here is good, though. What do you possibly have here? 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, right? Now, this is an expanding fucking pattern, so it's rare, but it could be. And then you have what? You're trying to make a three-wave nature down. If that's true, this could be the start of something off of this as a partner leg. Now, with such limited data, I'm guessing Simon the cat here hasn't been alive for too long. It's still a kitten. You're only looking for a potential partner leg here, right? You're not a moon boy on this. You're telling yourself like this shit could be ugly. So you're looking to fill liquidity that was possibly left behind at best, right? So you have a little tiny teensy weensy internal fair value gap here on the weekly. You have another one here on the weekly. Right, these gents, they knew what they were doing. Look at this market maker just cleaned up. There's not a ton of money left behind or reasons to go up there, I would say. So let's see what happens. I think if you're lucky, you get back to a golden pocket, which lines you up with all of the weekly internal fair value gaps or liquidity left behind there. So if we do come up for those, that could take Simon the kitty cat up to, and I would say you're looking for this, right, to be a leading diagonal maybe. So maybe you get a deeper retracement. Be aware of that. The most common is a 78.6% retracement. And then you could potentially see a wave 3, a 4, and a 5, and then it's over, right? But that could take Simon the cat from fucking a million zeros where it's at right now up to a million zeros, 2367 to 2999. You can reference this video. It will all be in the recording for you later. But because of how shitty the start is here of a three-wave nature in an ABC, I'm going to have to go with that's an A, B, C, and A. And you're looking for a B wave low and eventually a C wave high, right? This is a shit coin like this for me is a later in the season kind of thing. So I would be just kind of sitting on my hands on this, and I would put an alarm at the highs, and I would put an alarm down here by the 786 somewhere, and I would tell myself, fuck it, right? Whatever happens, happens. Either way, you're going to make good money on something like this when you put your $20, your $100 on it. This is high risk bullshit. All right, XDB is next. Thank God it's on KuCoin. It's on something that you can actually look at. I can't remember if you want it on KuCoin or MEXC. Let me know in the chat if you want KuCoin or MEXC, and we'll go from there. Fucking not a bad look, though. This is, so let's delete everything. So, overall, the chart's hideous, right? Overall, this is fucking a bad day for somebody's office. But you might get lucky. Number one, what I would do is put an idiot box on this. And I would tell myself, we're holding above 50% liquidity on the idiot box. I'm looking for it to move up and test the upper liquidity. If it can move above it and back test it, what do we make here on the lows? We'll make a W bottom, right, guys? So if we make a W bottom on the lows after the back test, that would be amazing. We can get a technical target of that just from an estimation from low to low on an angle to this medium range of where the closures is. You don't need to go to the wicks. And you could look for another 318% gain if it does break this neckline, which has been resistance, right? Even the wicks that came up, all they did was clean up the internal fair value gap left behind. This chart still does have some liquidity here when we look back on the weekly, so there is reasons for it to come up. We just need it to break this like common resistance of the neckline around 0.10374, and after that, boom, it'll go. No, we didn't cover super deep, man. You weren't even here. You did. If no one asked for, no one asked for shit coins unless you're here. So no, we don't. We don't cover them. All right. So if that's that, boom. I would say, unfortunately, though, nothing yet looks super like, wow, this is going to the moon, right? I would say the reason why is, again, is what? Time, in my opinion. So if this is wave 1, somehow 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'm not going to try to bullshit and say this is 4 and this is 5 because this is incredibly long. You can see this correction is well past the 2 in time. So anything past the 2 in time is likely a B wave, right? So it's likely just a fucking B wave, right? So don't get too stoked. If that means this is a B wave, that means this guy is going for a C wave, yes? So it's like until you get a for sure reversal, which in my opinion, so far you have not, right? Everything about this is chop city, chop city, chop, 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 chop. This is not something I would look to buy. This is not something I'm trying to move into. It doesn't have clear structures like AERO, right? On AERO, we could hit this with a high probability setup. Here, we don't have that. So unfortunately, I would move on. All right, let's go to gold. This is one that we shared in the Discord way back. Where the hell is my chart? That's why it wasn't working. We bought gold as a community, or well, in a live stream all together, right in here. We've been riding that up ever since. I don't think that this is over yet. I think worst case scenario, you see gold give a pullback to 3 grand. I think it would be an opportunity. But for now, I think that I'm biased towards the upside here on the macro for gold. And I think that anything that it does is just going to be a leg to the upside before another kind of consolidation, before another leg to the upside. I don't even really like saying the targets because I do think they're ridiculous. But let's delete everything. And God, I hate this. If this is to be, an impulse, let's stay on linear so we can stay realistic here. 3,200 was 1.618. We've blown that out of the water. I think that could realistically take gold to 3,800 to 4,200. I'm not buying any more gold because my allotment was made down so low that I don't want to DCA into this. So instead, I've been watching silver and buying physical silver. I share this in the community. We talk about it often. I do think that silver is going to continue to make moves to the upside. I think that it's going to get upwards, as stupid as this sounds, way past the $40 range. And I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't some short squeeze on silver where you see it run up to $58 to $64. Right? Yes, it can go higher. Shit happens, but I wouldn't count on it, right? So that's gold and silver. Let's look at the DXY really quickly if you're still here, Nameless. This is something we were waiting for in the community together. Let's stay on log for this one. It tends to work best. Was a potential big crash here because you have a 3-wave motion down and a long consolidating 3-wave motion up and a potential WXY. I even would be open for this to be a Y leg instead of a C, right? I just placed this here for kind of placekeeping. Dude, 18 likes. Thank you guys, man. We're 2 away from 20, dude. Thank you. So if this is to continue to the downside, which I think is the most likely route, is for the DXY to keep going down. I don't know what's going to cause that, right? I'm not a geopolitical person. I'm not the smartest man. I'm like Forrest Gump, right? But I do think, the downside is the most probable route here. I think when we look at it, we have an A into a potential B, and we are just starting to make what could be a really painful C leg to the downside, right? I think we're still looking for this 93 to 92 zone, and then we'll figure out more from there, right? Happy you're always watching. You're such a creep. What is a good entry buy today? That's a hard question, man, right? Because first you need to form a reversal on Bitcoin. Once you confirm a reversal on Bitcoin, then we could talk about what's a good entry today, right? So far, we haven't formed a good reversal yet on Bitcoin. So for me, I'm still watching time until about another hour from now. And then we'll see what's up. I'm trying to find you something. If someone had like gun in my mouth, I'm gonna fucking shoot you. What are you gonna buy? I'm buying AERO, right? There it is. That's my not fucking financial advice. So, anyways, we'll just keep going. I love the crazy questions though. METAFOX on CoinGecko or Fox or Weth. Can we look at it on a deck screener, guys? Because that's my shitcoin tool that I like. METAFOX. This guy, Fox Weth. I'm guessing that's it. Man, thank you all for making your time to come today. We had 80 people come through this stream today. That is solid, man. That is so cool. Thank you all for the time today. All right. So far running. Yo, what's up, Steven? We're running out of kind of chart requests. So if you have more chart requests, just let me know. All right, let's get rid of our sidebar. And let's look at this. All right, for now, let's go back to log on this guy. So, fuck you. This could be good, right? This is the hard part here is what, guys? We're going to have to bullshit a little bit and lie a little bit. But you could be looking at a potential 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. So we put a 3 here and a 4 here into a 5, right? And 5 ends on high volume, basically. Yeah, dude, let's write it down. Nitin, with all the charts you're bringing out, I've got to look at them, right? Every time you have a chart, it's a monster. So let's put KASPA down. You got to come to every stream from here on out, okay? All right. What style of analysis do you like to use, Nitin? No, we haven't done Cardano. Let's look at that gem. Cardano's a gem. If you like leverage swings on 5Xs, you should come check out the Discord, man. You would be crashing, making tons of money on AERO. The guys have been sharing nearly every play. So from low to high, we have a nice fall back to the 618. Technically, this is a really good area of interest. One thing I would like to point out, though, is we do have an internal fair value gap of liquidity left behind here that runs down to even the 786. So we haven't even touched that, right? Fibs mostly. I love it, dude. That's why you're hitting it. That's why you're doing good. So I like this as 3 down and potentially 3 up, right? From here, shit falls apart. Ugh. This is horrible. Maybe you could say that's wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. So maybe an ending diagonal in a C. Maybe it's an ABC to the downside and a 3-3-5 pattern. This is something that could happen. That would be a fucked up running flat, not even a running flat, even weaker in the B. So maybe it's low probability, but it could be. Until you get a low, until you get a low time frame reversal here, it's kind of not one that I would want to buy yet, right? So what I would look for would be, since you're at a golden pocket, I want an hourly impulse out of here, right? So please ping me if we get it, guys. But we're going to look for wave 1, 2. This is way bigger than what we're going to actually see. You would look for this to make a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we would want to buy the support of that, right? So you, number one, are going to start getting kind of acceptance in the fair value gap of liquidity left behind after this bullish order flow wick, when you make the 3 into the 4, that should tell you that we're going to drive for higher. So we're going to look for 5 off the reversal, come back to buy it, and this is your 5x kind of leverage play right there, in my opinion. But again, I can't give financial advice, right? And this could be a swing that could play out to some fairly high prices, right? But we'll have to see what happens. This kind of reminds me of FARTBOY's chart, right? A nice run up to the upside. Let me make sure I'm still on log. And then this grinding ass correction that's nearly impossible to count. I do think this consolidation at some point on these charts is going to lead to an expansion. For me, if that expansion is going to be a partner leg of this, I'm not really too stressed when I get in that run up, right? I'm not trying to pick the bottoms. I need a reversal. Then I buy support heavy, and then I ride that up with high risk, right? So it's a much better way of doing business. But all right, let's move on. That's METAFOX, and let's look at KASPA. Wrong. I'm still on the deck screener, Dale. And I guarantee, I would say the majority of people are bearish right now. They're scared. They're waiting for lower. They're calling their mommies. All right, so for me, I'm going to have to stick by what I've so far kind of looked at here on the daily. We must have looked at this in the last stream or in the Discord at some point. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Mother. Look at that, dude. That is crazy. I don't like a 3-wave start to something, but it is what it is. This little kitty cat's paw, or like a fucked up Bart Simpson hair, always scares me for a bigger downfall. So my fear with KASPA is that it had a hell of a run up, right? And we haven't even touched what would be minimum fib retracements. So in my opinion, I'm going to stick with being bearish on this for right now. I think if it's lucky, it gets another corrective leg to the upside. But I do think at some point, the first leg of the correction, whether this is B or not, or this is, I don't care what it comes to, I do think it's going to get a leg to the downside that likely explores this last bit of price action. I wonder what the fixed range volume profile was for this run up. We'll even use the inception to the tip. To the tip! So that's kind of a dead ringer, maybe, you know, maybe this is something you have to find, but I could see you losing that point of control or even exploring it, right? So yeah, you can see last node area of interest before it is here. So honestly, that's my first area of interest. I really don't care until then. And then I would say here is my next. And this is another thing that I'm not buying until I would see a valid reversal, and then I would plot on it. But that's my opinion. All right, let's go look at ADA. I maybe am biased on this. This is something that we've been talking about in the Discord. Other people were trying to sell their ADA. I was buying it. Yeah, dude, take it easy, Dunk. Now, you can get me to be bullish or bearish on ADA. And I'll show you both possible routes here. I would say my first thing that I want to pay attention to is the potential for this being an A into a B. You can argue whether you want to put that B here or here. I really don't care. And that's a C. We can argue that because of the extensions here from 0 to A to B. I'll even go to this low to try to give it credit. Now, this is putting your other low here is what saves it, in my opinion, for an ugly ass 1-2 setup. If we put it here, that secondary move counts better as a C then, because it reaches 1.236, meaning that leg is 1.236 or 0.236 times larger in C than it was in A. So if that's true, you know, then it could be a top there, right? This could be a correction. It could be over. It did not end on high volume, so that's good. It got really close to ending on high volume. But I would say that is smart contracts coming up. Was just looking to try and take advantage of potential pump. Yeah, dude, if it goes, it goes, and then you just kind of ride that kind of thing. So here on ADA, though, it's like if you want to be a bull and you move, excuse my dog snoring, she's so impolite. If you move your low over here, and this is something that we talk about on my macro chain link analysis also, then you could get me to be a bull, right? But we have to get rid of the ABC. We need this to be 1-2 stacking. And you're going to want a secondary 1 into 2 here. And then you're going for 3, 4, and 5. Right? So let's make this the larger degree. Oopsie, sorry guys. So many clicks. So many clicks. All right. So if you're going to look for this inner leg to start going off, then we need 1-2 stacking that pans out, right? So this will be our macro targets. And we'll talk about why I don't think the macro 3 would come in until up there. This is the weekly. Let me get my older chart for ADA. Ah, look, the work is already done for us. All right, so I do think, you know, this is on log, so keep that in mind. This is the only real way to keep the 1-2 stacking alive, because when we go on linear, this move is substantially uglier. So if it's going to be 1-2 stacking, I think this is another 1-2 in here, right? So let's look at, where did I pull this? That's your 1 into 2. Set up that way. That's a minimum, so we would take our 3 up to an extension because it would likely get extended, right? We'll get these up and out of the way for now. This wave 3, let's get rid of this. This is our inner count. Sorry guys, I don't come with everything prepared for you. I come with it just already set. All right, this is our inner leg. Now it's making sense. 3, 4, and 5. So this would likely be up here. And remember guys, this is not a for sure thing. Nothing in crypto is a for sure thing, right? These are very lavish, logarithmic targets, right? It doesn't mean it has to pan out. This is just a way that you could, we're at 19 likes, man. We're almost to 20, hell yeah. So if this is to get moving up in this 3-4, 3-4 stacking in a final fifth, ADA could get really bullish. But how do we start to form invalidations on those investments? That's the real question. I would say you really don't want to start seeing structure be lost here, right? And for sure, we're not trying to lose this low, right? Around 50 cents, 51 cents. So if I was wanting to be a bull, I need to zoom in. I need to ask myself, how could ADA get a strong reversal from here? Well, this right here has to be a wave 1 into 2. Likely this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Maybe you had a really shitty 4. Could happen. This would have to be 1, 2. And you're looking to start really moving here for ADA. You would need volume that starts supporting this. You see how the volume's coming up, the volume's arcing up again. It could be, guys, this could be a valid reversal. So it's something to watch out for on ADA. Does it give you a pump out of nowhere? Yeah, dude, take it easy, Net, and I hope it was enjoyable for you, and we really enjoyed having you here, dude. Thanks for all the chats and charts. You brought some really good ones to the table today. Cookie and AITECH were really fun charts, so thank you. Take it easy, dude. So if this is the bullish route for ADA here on a daily, we're talking about this moving upward in a really strong movement, right, guys? Like, at some point, this is going to make all the bears really thirsty, in my opinion. Yeah? So this would be a wave 1 into a wave 2. And you'll know that this is on the table when we break that expanded B wave 1.618. So if at any point ADA breaks $1.13, dude, we're on, right? So you have alarms for this set as a holder. You have an alarm. I would even say move this up so you're more prepared in case shit falls off. But 68 cents is my first alarm, and my other alarm's $1.13. Because I know if I break $1.13, I'm running to $1.82. Like today. You know what I mean? So that's something to be aware of. All right, do I still have any FARTBOY people in here today? That was basically every chart that we had, guys. Excuse me. I want to thank you guys for coming. I really enjoy these streams. I have a ton of fun doing them. We do them every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. In between, we do I do a Discord live stream at least 3 days out of the week for the rest of the week. And one of those is an educational stream when we have time. And we cover the how-to of these strategies. We cover risk management. We cover the psychological mindset behind how to be successful at trading. Also, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for all your time to thumbs up the stream, to take your time to chat, to take your time to be here. I'm going to commit some more of my time to this video and go timestamp it all for you guys and get this uploaded. All I can ask is if you could please share this with your friends, family, and those in the investing world that you know, in hopes that I can get my name out there more. I'm working really, really hard to get established. And I work really hard for those that believe in me and that support me. And I give them 100% back. So sorry for the little blurb here at the end. But again, thank you all for your time. And I will see you next week on Monday. If not, in between in the Discord. Bye, everybody.